Our next viewer question comes from Colleen, who writes in, "Hi, my teenage daughter, Caitlin, 17, has had constipation since birth. After years of being dismissed by her primary doctor as diet-related, a specialist put her on amyltesia, I think is the name of it. This medication, along with daily Miralax, does help somewhat, but she still does not have daily bowel movements and suffers from bloating and discomfort. She also has migraines and cystic acne. Caitlin has always had a good diet, eating a balanced diet with lots of fruits and vegetables. She avoided food known to cause constipation, does not enjoy sweets, and has recently stopped eating meat. She expressed interest in seeing if it could be possible that it might be hormone related or if taking any supplements might help. I would like to avoid some of the frustration of trying too many things that do not work or get testing to be more specific. If that would be helpful, I would appreciate any direction you can offer. Best, Colleen." Well, Colleen, I'm really excited to dig into Caitlin's case specifically because there's a lot at play. And when I'm working with any pediatric case, especially early childhood, infancy, and young babies that might have constipation, there's usually stuff happening that we need to address. So if it happened early on and a decade or so later, we're still dealing with constipation, it might be from either a liver that's not functioning well, meaning it's not producing enough bile, which bile is this really amazing healthy substance. It's part of the detox process of the liver, but it also lubricates the digestive tract. Particularly, it moves contents out of the small intestine into the large intestine and out via the rectum. So bile production enhancement is really key. And there are herbals to do that. So one of my favorites is drinking dandelion tea. This brand actually is my favorite. This single tea bag has 1,500 milligrams of dandelion, which is 3 times what you ordinarily get in a tincture, or which is a more concentrated liquid herbal, or in a capsule. So dandelion tea several times throughout the day, at least 2 to 3 cups, can greatly enhance bile production, which helps to move the bowel contents more easily. So that can eliminate also the straining and even hemorrhoids and things like that from straining. The other thing that's at play is when we have severe constipation, meaning long-term constipative state, we're dealing with the actual structural alignment of the large intestine, what we call the bowel. Well, when there's a lot of contents that aren't moving, the lower left side of the bowel can expand. And then that becomes problematic because even with a healthy diet and adding, certain things we're going to talk about in this video, you can still have that structural issue that is part of the post-constipative state. So we actually need to kind of shrink back that intestinal lining. And some of that can be done manipulated or via a manual process of actually massaging the lower intestine. There are some amazing tutorials on YouTube. If you guys want me to do a specific tutorial, I can do that and launch that and let you all know. But there's a technique called a Mayan massage, and that is a more abdominal related, a specific digestive and soft tissue, lower abdomen targeted massage. That technique can actually help. One, it moves contents, so you can actually massage. And so you're going from the left hip to the right hip in a circular pattern around the belly button. But that massage technique can actually help reshape the lower part of the bowel, the large intestine, and that whole rectum area where the contents are gathering. So that's one thing. The other thing is making sure you're getting magnesium in the diet. So magnesium 7 would be a staple. And for patients that have severe constipation, having a magnesium dose with every meal consistently throughout the day is a good delivery method of magnesium. For some reason, some folks have greater magnesium requirements than others, particularly my constipative patients. We need more than the 400 milligram requirement a day. Sometimes we need 1,200 milligrams, but we space that out so it's more tolerable. The good news is with our magnesium 7, it's not just a magnesium citrate, which can really move the bowels by flooding the bowels with a lot of fluid, but it will help motivate that process. So I really recommend that 3 times a day. The other thing that I recommend is a powder. I use this powder all the time, and this is an organic fiber. So adding really dense fibers like inulin fiber and apple pectin and apple related plant-based Jerusalem artichoke, those are going to be really healthy fibers that are probiotic enhancing. So if you're taking a probiotic like our probiotics, the fiber becomes a food for the probiotic. So you always want to make sure you're getting good, healthy fiber. And while people eat healthy diets of fruit and veggies, sometimes we're not seeing those high serving sizes. And we're also not necessarily seeing the 35 to 40 grams of fiber we need to take in every day to help move the bowel. So that's one kind of really key recommendation. The other thing is to make sure we're hydrating really well. But the liver function is critical. Getting magnesium, that's very powerful for moving the bowels. And then also doing the manipulative massage. I recommend that as a really great resource to help you and your daughter move the contents in the bowel and really help minimize the scenario for long-term constipation, because that just sets up for really, really unhealthy scenarios down the road. And often when we're constipated, we have a hepatic vein. We actually have a vein that runs from the lower part of the large intestine in the rectum back to the liver. So we're just recycling toxic junk. And so that can disrupt hormones, and that can cause cysts and even be a risk factor for breast cancer and other diseases. So I hope those tips are helpful, and definitely let us know how it goes. Give it about 3 to 4 weeks to really take effect. And I'm curious to see how that helps anybody else as well. Thank you for asking your question, Colleen. And I hope Caitlin does well with this.